are, including the most pivotal encounter of the Pendulum Wars, Ashfo Fields.
Santiago! I'll spare you the inspirational speech, Private. You know what to do.
Yes, sir. All right, let's do this. We take down those towers, cripple their communications, then raid the lab. Command wants the Hammer of Dawn, Command gets the Hammer of Dawn. All right, let's move! Move it, Gears! We're only gonna get one shot to extract those plans. Once we take down the comm towers, this entire base is cut off.
Yes, sir.
We've got Indies! Up top! Take them out! Go! Nice shot! Way to go, Prime! Come on, the Major's waiting! More Indy! Damn it, they're dug in! Get around and flank them! One less Indy to worry about. Let's go! Tower's just ahead! Leader, Green 1. Approaching bonfire.
Roger that, Green One. And sweet hell, these are dumb code names.
Okay, plan a charge on that tower.
Charge planted.
Leader, our match is lit.
Roger that. We're lighting our bonfire in 3, 2, 1. This base is out deaf, dumb, and blind. Also, I'm shit canning our code name, Santiago. See you at the lab.
Yes, sir. The lab's just beyond that security gate. Push up! Machine gun nest! We're splitting up. You two take left.
Spotted! Take cover! Hey, the Major's counting on us! Get up there! Now get a frag in there! Nice! Now get through that door! And don't mind the mess.
You two, you have the security codes. Override that gate.
Come on, man.
And with that, this raid is officially underway. Let's go. All right, you know the drill. Eliminate the guards, get inside the lab, grab the plans. Then we ghost.
So what does this Hammer of Dawn thing do?
It wins the war. And if we do our job right, every system here is wiped. And the indie scientists get an offer they can't refuse. All right, we're in. Let's go! Labs up ahead! Take them out! Open up on them! All right, we're in. Time to run rendezvous with the Major. Come on!
Nice to see you're not dead, Private.
You too, Major!
Let's take out these Indies so we can get on with the goddamn show.
Yes, sir! Indies! Coming from the lab! Good one! Keep it up! Got him! Lab secure, Major.
I have eyes, Private. Now, let's get those plans. Step aside, Private. Looks like these Indy scientists aren't too eager to meet us. Bruce! Be a dear and rip this door.
Gears, listen up. If we're not out in 10 minutes, abort mission and get the hell out of here.
Okay, Santiago, time to meet our new friends.
Right behind you, Major.
Indies, left side!
Hold her back! I'm getting the hook! I'm getting the hook!
They're coming in on the right side!
Hold your position! Indies on the left!
Keep them away from the lab!
Gears, hammer plans are in hand. We're coming back topside.
Ready to go! Don't let them through! Reloading!
Control, package is secure.
Cleaner, proceed to the beach for marlin extract.
You hear that? Mortars!
Oh, we got mortars incoming.
Can I suggest you run, Major?
To the beach! Go, go, go!
Run, get out of here!
Don't stop! Boats just ahead! Keep moving!
God, I can't! Shit!
When valiant COG forces captured the UIR's plans for the Hammer of Dawn, we ensured our survival in the worst conflict our world had yet known.
Yo, what is up, guys? It's your boy Skull and Bones 2 and 2 here, and in today's Gears E-Day video, we're going to be discussing about the possibility of a prologue being shown within the campaign. Now, the Coalition is taking their own spin on bringing us new stories by explaining the past and how they lead into the present and the future. I like that a lot. It gives a lot of insight into the lore, the deep lore of Gears that not a lot of fans who haven't read the comics and the books know about, and only know about the games, and they only know their knowledge of Gears of War and the Gears of War universe through the games. So they do a good job of explaining and giving people who don't have the time to get that extra content via different sources like books and comics to just get all of the knowledge they need, somewhat a good chunk of it through the games. Now, Gears of War E-Day, from what we've only been shown, only shows snippets of post-war Sarah. The war from the Pendulum Wars has just finally come to an end, and everybody's getting, regulated into civilian life. But this leads me to believe, because they show a lot of Carlos via photographs, they talk about him a lot, Marcus has a deep conversation with Dom before E-Day actually commences. I do believe we are going to get our own prologue mission that will show Carlos dying. I don't think that they would put a big emphasis on Carlos this time around and not show him at all. It just wouldn't make any sense. So I do want people to be prepared that we will be getting a prologue mission. And the reason I say this is because in Gears 4, we got a prologue. They showed the Pendulum Wars, Emergence Day, and Victory Day. And then in Gears 5, they show a prologue explaining the time frame from Gears 4 all the way to Gears 5. Kate getting accumulated into the new cog, and then, you know, just explaining her nightmares and, you know, what she was doing before present day Gears 5. So I do think that they're going to explain a little bit of that, you know, Pendulum War backstory for Marcus, especially for Dom. Who knows, we may get a mission where we're playing with Hoffman and his squad a little bit more in the Pendulum Wars. Maybe they show the Marlin extract where Baitak, who dies saving Dom, is shown in the Pendulum Wars. They show Carlos dying. I hope that there's a little bit more length given to this era in the Pendulum War specifically. I hope this is their opportunity to also show new weapons, new UIR vehicles that we never got to see, you know, all that stuff. And then, you know, we could get that in a short form or different content in the game's lifespan as the assets are already there for the story mode. It just leads to a lot of other ideas. So I would really love for them to do that. The other thing that I do want to stress is people need to understand that, again, this is a new company directing the Gears campaigns, and I do think that they do an amazing job showing off the rich history and lore of the universe. Not a lot of, you know, companies beforehand do this for their long entries. Like perfect examples like Halo. Halo has a very intricate and deep lore, and it's very confusing for somebody who doesn't take the time to learn it. Especially through the games. The games are very, very confusing because we have the original saga from 1 through 3 to Reach, and then we have what's called the Reclaimer saga, which is Halo 4, 5, and then Infinite. So there's just like a lot of confusion within 343's lore and the games, but I do think that the Coalition does an amazing job breaking it down for people who have no idea what happened before Emergence Day, what happened before the Locust era, because a lot of casual fans and a lot of longtime Storm Mode, Horde Mode fans, believe it or not, they have only just played the games. They're fans of the games. They don't really go that in depth unless they watch a YouTube video here and there. And, you know, that's what content creators are for, is to explain that. I feel like that's our job, to educate people who don't know. But the Coalition does a good job of that. And I do believe we will be getting a prologue mission to explain what happens, you know, before the bar and them going into the mass funeral for the fallen and stuff like that. So it only makes sense for them to include the death of Carlos Santiago, showing how he dies. And I don't know how Marcus is going to break it to Dom, because in the books, he doesn't really tell Dom how Carlos dies. He tends to like stray away from telling him how his brother died. He just says that he died a hero. And he doesn't really like going in depth saying that it was technically because of him Carlos died. And in the books, Carlos saw that Marcus was trying to do something and tried to give him cover and ended up getting stuck on a bridge with him and his team. And Marcus saw what he was trying to do and watched Carlos die. So Carlos wanted to save him and not get Marcus and the rest of the other Gears killed, blew the bridge up, blew himself up while he was bleeding out, and killed a bunch of innies that were trying to work their way into crossing the bridge to get to Marcus and everybody else during Operation Leveler or in Asphalt Fields. That was when they were recovering the Hammer of Dawn plans. So I wonder how they're going to go about doing that. We got a brief touch up of that in Gears of War 4, and I think they did a really good job, because for the first time when I played that mission in Gears 4, it did not feel like a Gears game, and I meant that in the best way. It genuinely felt like a breath of fresh air, and I really hope that they can replicate that formula in Gears E-Day. We have so many opportunities to tell so many different stories, and I think this is how they're going to be able to do that, is within this time period. It was very smart of them to choose Emergence Day, because we are at a point where we're not too deep into the Pendulum Wars, but we're still within the era of exiting another war and then about to enter a new war with Emergence Day and the Locust. So I think it's an amazing thing that they can do. I think we will get that prologue mission. A lot of people have been wondering, hey, are we going to even get one? And I'm here to say, yes, we definitely will. It lines up perfectly with the way that they have been providing us with campaign stories, and it makes sense for them to do that. I would be very surprised if the Coalition just did not give us a prologue to explain what happened, and then we just get thrown into Emergence Day at the bar. Wouldn't make any sense. So I do want people to, expect that. We will be getting a lot more Carlos. We're going to be explaining Carlos's backstory. We're going to be talking about, that relationship that wasn't the best between Dom and Marcus and Carlos. And the reason I say that is because Marcus was best friends with Carlos. He was good friends with Dom, but he wasn't as close. Carlos was like his brother. Like, Carlos was the one that introduced Marcus into the Santiago family. He was the one that, really was there with them 99% of the time. And Dom being a little brother, he loved Marcus, but he wasn't as close to Marcus. Dom's priorities were being with Maria, being a father, starting a family, so on and so forth. And Carlos asked for Marcus specifically, like, if anything happens to him, please look out for Dom. Whatever he needs, do that. And when Carlos dies, that is what Marcus does. He essentially takes up that big brother role model, and he essentially looks after Dom in whatever way he can before Emergence Day. Marcus is very rich and wealthy, and that's not why Carlos and Dom became friends with Marcus. He knew that it wasn't because of, the money. They just became friends because these were all genuine people that had met at the same time. So that being said, Marcus, whatever Dom needed, he was always there for him. Money, anything with the family, the kids, he knew he was always there for him after Carlos passed. So I think they're going to explain a little bit more how they grow closer. Obviously, Dom and Marcus really aren't as close as they are in like the first 3 games, but they definitely get closer post Locust era and after Emergence Day and stuff like that. And I think that they will show, what happens, how guilty Marcus feels, how important the loss was to not only Marcus but to Dom. That's his brother. It's different when it's your best friend and it's somebody you meet later in life, but it's somebody that you have spent every day of your life with since the day you were introduced into this world, and losing your significant other, that is something different. It's a completely different type of loss. As a brother myself, I know, and I can't wait to see how they explain that story. I've always been a fan of the Carlos story through the books and the comics, but we never really got any of that. We just got Marcus and Dom. But, there's characters pre-era of the Locust War that I would have loved them to talk more about, like Baitok's son in Gears of War 5. He essentially is the guy, the chopper that's flying you guys to get the Venom bomb. He's your chopper. His dad was the good friend of Hoffman's, and Hoffman looks after him. So there's a lot of correlation between Pendulum era characters that lead into the Locust War and so on and so forth. So, I really hope that we do get a good explanation of the Pendulum Wars, them, getting the UIR plans. We got some of that in Gears 4, like I said, but them showing the sacrifices made, all that stuff, seeing it from a different point of view. We do get a prologue in Gears 5. Like I said earlier, we go to the UIR Islands. We get the Hammer of Dawn plans to activate the satellite in Gears 5. Which we don't know if it's going to work because we don't even have a targeting beacon. We just need the lasers to get sent into space and then, get the actual trigger itself through Bayard. But, we still got a prologue in Gears 5, so who's to say that we won't get a prologue in Gears E-Day? But if you guys, that was the video. Wasn't really too much in depth. Wasn't anything crazy. There are a couple videos I do want to cover. There was some new gameplay shown, and I do want to talk about that and cover that in the next couple of videos. So if you guys don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, spread the video to your friends. If you do like these videos and if you do enjoy the content I'm putting out, please stick around. I've got some amazing stuff coming for you within the next couple of weeks, and I can't wait to share it with you guys. But besides that, I can't wait for you guys to have an amazing day. This is your boy Bones, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.